Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I am so happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the masculine. I've made a video about the masculine explained, and I have linked that one down below. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that. And today we're going to be talking about embodying the masculine. And what is the masculine truly embodied? We have quite a mix up today in what a masculine or male is. And there's quite a confusion that's unfolded this new kind of masculine that's called the wounded masculine. Now, the wounded masculine is really struggling right now. So I'm making this video to kind of empower and bring those wounded masculines back into their power. So stay tuned with me here as I talk about the masculine and how to embody the divine masculine qualities that you need to have to come into balance with that feminine that would either be your counterpart or an internal part of you. So we all have the feminine and masculine energy within us. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in the video throughout. So whether you're a man or a woman, we're going to be talking about masculine energy. I will tell you this video is focused more towards men or towards if you are in a same-sex relationship, the person that embodies more of the masculine energy. There's always going to be that balance. We see the yin and the yang symbol, right? It's the feminine and the masculine. And that symbolizes is a metaphor symbolizing balance and how we need this kind of balance within and without our reality. So in the yin and yang symbol, they're actually not equal. So you will find that within the masculine and within the feminine, they have very different energies and they can almost be looked at as opposites. They seem very different. They seem opposing. But when they come together, they complement each other and they actually work well together. So there's actually nothing wrong with this situation, but we have to kind of embody the one that we're meant to be. So generally, females embody more feminine, males embody more masculine. But as we're being created in the womb of our mother, we're actually coming in to creation as we're being developed in the body of our mother. We are actually all female. That is the first organs and everything that happens. The brain is all female. The brain is female and the organs are female. Now, the gender is eventually assigned or chosen based on hormones and things that are released. And so eventually those female hormones, that are not hormones, organs, let's say the ovaries, become the male organs and whatnot. So we all come into this world with that female brain. And so the female brain is there for quite a while in the in utero, in the pregnancy of the mother. So at some point, the mother releases a hormone, testosterone, and that hormone goes out into the baby's bloodstream and begins to kind of work with it, work with the brain. And the brain actually begins to change and become more male. And so this is how we get genders. So we all come from female, and then eventually, if you are to be male, you would get the testosterone. And some females also get testosterone and sometimes have more of a male mind. So you can be a female with more of a male mind or a male with a female mind. So that is how we're starting to really see things now. There was quite a bit of confusion. I remember, my field of work is psychology. There's quite a confusion for a while, misconception about this, and a lot of shaming towards people that were experiencing this, maybe a male having a female brain. So there was quite a bit of shaming, misconceptions, misunderstanding, not really knowing how it is that this all comes about. But as science develops, as we begin to see more of this, we can see this. And so we've actually seen there's been studies on fruit flies where they've done certain things to manipulate the hormones of a fruit fly to make its brain more either female or male. So they did the study making a male fruit fly more female. And so they had the hormones that needed to come in and all of that stuff. And so the female brain was produced in a male. And so that male really, I guess, never really turned its brain into male. So what they noticed in the fruit fly study is that the male fruit fly really did have that female brain, because all of the studies of the fruit flies, they study flight patterns, movement patterns, behaviors, things like that. And they know the differences between a female and a male fruit fly. Well, this fruit fly that had now just the female brain had all the same flight patterns, had all the same movements and behaviors as a female fruit fly. So you can manipulate these things, and these things are very relative depending on the hormone and how this all unfolds. So it's quite fascinating, isn't it? But today we're going to be focusing a little bit more on the masculine, and we're going to be focusing on men specifically. I'd like to focus on men because I'm going to make another video that's going to be about the feminine, and I'm going to focus more on women. And you can take it or leave it, whatever information resonates with you, whichever one doesn't. Now, I'd like you to keep an open mind here and release any misconceptions, any stereotypes you have, just based on what I've said about the fruit fly study and things like that. It's all relative. But there are certain things that we come into this world expressing. I'm expressing in a female body. And my female body is very different than a male body. If I was in a male body, I would be expressing differently, probably talking differently, probably would have had different experiences. So all of this is very relative to the individual and their expression. It's not about if the male is better, if the female is better, if they have it better, if this one has it better. It's none of that. These two are complementary. We are all one. So whether you identify more with the female or the masculine or the feminine, doesn't matter. So I'm going to be putting out both videos, and eventually I'm going to make a video kind of really merging it all together because it's quite fascinating topic for me. So if you find yourself a man or a person identifying more as the masculine, and you have clearly decided that you are masculine, you know that about yourself, I'd like to ask you a few questions. How do you feel being the masculine? Do you feel powerful? Do you feel in control? Do you feel that you know what you're doing? Do you feel that you can talk to anyone? Do you feel that you can go up to any woman? Do you think that you can make love and be passionate and open in all ways in the bedroom? Do you feel confident enough to support and raise a family? Do you feel confident and prepared enough to protect a family, to protect your family, whether it's your parents or, your wife or children, or your family being your friends or whatever it may be? As the divine masculine, do you feel ready to go into battle and fight for what it is you believe? Do you feel that you're being 100% authentic with who you are? Are you expressing that to the world? Are you penetrating the world with who you are? That is what the masculine does. If you feel that you haven't come into that, if you feel that for whatever reason you've been wounded, whether it's you feel you've been wounded by a feminine, or you've been wounded by your upbringing, or you've been wounded by the world, or you've just simply never even heard this information. I work with a lot of men, and I'm quite surprised that a lot of men have not really had the role models of having a father, of having a male figure who's a strong, dominant figure in their lives, who is showing and expressing themselves as the masculine. So they just don't have that blueprint to look up to or look to. So whatever's within is still within, but it's not been released. So there's this wounding there. And so we got to kind of release that wounding, and that will come later on. But today we're going to talk about those qualities of the masculine. So if you'd like to know what those are, come along with me in this video and we'll get started here on the qualities of the masculine. And we'll kind of flip that narrative for you upside down. If you feel shy, if you feel not very confident, if you feel that you can't attract women or women aren't attracted to you, then this is the video for you. This is a life-changing video. Most men don't get this information, and I'm speaking as a feminine. I'm speaking as the feminine, and I'm going to be talking in a way of what does the divine feminine require. Now, the divine feminine and the divine masculine are completely whole and complete on their own, but they can, and most of them do choose to come into partnership with whichever energy is the opposite. So if I'm a feminine, I would seek out a masculine, and we would just attract, and then that would be the harmonizing energy that everything else would be born from. Whereas sometimes the divine masculine or divine feminine may not have a partner, and that can be okay, but we balance the energies within, both of the energies we have. So right now, while I'm making this video, I'm very much in my masculine energy. I'm speaking, I'm giving out my information, my ideas, whatever it is that my authentic self is trying to express is being expressed in this video. I had to set up the camera, um, come up with the idea, set up the channel. All of these things are masculine energy. Okay, I have to hold this space. I have to speak in a certain way. I have to keep a certain structure. All of that is masculine energy. I'm even dressed a little bit more masculine today. And I did this specifically to really show you that even within the divine feminine, there is the divine masculine also. But truly, the true divine feminine who comes into union with their divine masculine in a physical form, they really balance each other. And it is that oneness, really. And they begin to work with each other and release and do all of the things that we do in this life. So let's get started with the first point. The first point is being 100% authentic. Are you 100% authentic in your expression? Divine masculine or masculine energy is 100% authentic. Why? Because it wants the world to know truth. It also wants to penetrate and express whatever it is expressing into the world. So each person has something deposited within them, many different gifts, as a matter of fact, if not all of them, really. But we come in really knowing that we're more attracted to doing these things or that thing, and all of a sudden we have these gifts. Well, the divine masculine is aware of its gifts, of its purpose, of what it wants to do. It has come up with some sort of self identity, okay, for itself. And this can be quite confusing for some people that have gone through a non-dual experience, because a lot of times that identity drops away. And what will happen is just some of that motivation will drop away, but your divine masculine aspects will not drop away. So that's another misconception, not to get confused here. When the self drops away, the essence of what you are does not change. If I was always born feminine, I will always be that way. Okay, even after a shift. I mean, anything can happen, but for the most part, that is what happens. So as a male, you will still be a divine male. I find so many people I work with sometimes have completely given up on life. And now this is a whole nother issue. It has nothing to do with awakening. It has something to do with the process of the dark night of the soul, well, which is awakening, I guess. But anyhow, that process kind of beats you down. And sometimes I find some males and masculines that have completely given up on life, even on their masculine energy, which is where their life force is. So the masculine energy is your life force. This is what you have come into this life with. And it's every day you have that life force. Now, what are you going to do with it? So the authentic masculine, 100% divine male has a vision, and that vision is being penetrated, like I say, out into the world. So are you, as a masculine, doing that? What are you doing? What's within you and what's coming out of you? Are you giving anything? If you're not giving anything as a male, we have a problem, because the masculine, the divine male or masculine energy, if you're not a male, gives. What does the female or the feminine energy being do? They receive. So they're very clear, and there's really no arguing in this. This isn't something about feminism. This is something about the nature reality, the way things work. We can find this within the animals. We can find this within the ecosystem, nature. Everything is screaming this to us. So it's not something that we really need to get hung up on or triggered or anything like that. So that's why I really talked about the misconceptions. So, what are you giving to this world as a male? My divine energy here, sitting here speaking to you, I'm conveying some information. I give in other ways, but I'm a feminine. But what are you doing as a masculine to give? So, the masculine, the male body, has a certain organ, right? If we even think about the sexuality between a male and a female, or we talk about the male and the female like in within tools or within like an outlet, like when we plug into the outlet, there is a giver and a receiver. Okay, that is very clear. The actual tools, the actual things, the organs actually are even shaped in this way that it's very clear to us that, hey, the masculine has to penetrate and give, and the female receives. And when she receives with that, she creates with that. So, anyhow, the masculine actually creates as well, but does not create in the same way as the feminine. The feminine receives to create. So, she already has a way of creating, whether or not you are out there speaking like I am or actually giving anything physical to the actual world. The feminine actually already gives in its natural state. So, it doesn't have to actually do that. In even just taking care of the home, providing meals at home with the food that the masculine brings, and all of this stuff is her creation. The decorations of all of the things maybe the masculine brings home that she can do and make things with, that is the creation. So she naturally creates. She doesn't have to create in these big, grand ways, but she does. She creates in small ways that are very, very powerful. But the male, coming back to the masculine, creates as well. But he creates from what's within. He doesn't have anybody bring him things, giving him things. He has it all within already, and he recognizes that. He's not sad about that. He's not jealous about that. He's not blaming the feminine for wanting to be provided for. He's not doing that. He's completely healthy in his masculine, knowing his power, that he can and he will do this. And this is his job. And this is his purpose here. And this is the way the natural world works. And so he comes into that expression, just like I come into my expression as a feminine. If I was a male, or if I was more male or masculine energy, I would completely go into that. So you want to embrace the energy that you are, and then next go within and discover, what is the gifts? What is the thing that I want to penetrate this world with? So stop and ask yourself that. And if you don't know yet, you just continue on your journey. But a divine masculine will know this. And if you still don't know, then like I say, you just go about life, and all of a sudden, when you're following your heart, those messages, all of that will come to you. But to know whether or not you're an embodied masculine, you will be 100% authentic in all aspects, meaning when you go into a group and maybe you don't agree with something, or something seems unethical or wrong, you will speak up. Um, when you see a beautiful woman and you want to go talk to her, you don't feel that you can't talk to her. You go up to her and you talk to her. When you feel that you need to call the doctor and make a doctor's appointment, you can do that. You get on the phone and you can do that. When you can go out and start a business and, find all of those investors, all the people that you need on your team, and you're able to talk to them in an authentic way to get them on your side, that's being a masculine. When you're able to know what values, beliefs, and just what you are as a person, and you're able to stay with that, stand strong with your values and your beliefs and things like that. That is the divine masculine. When you're able to penetrate the world and your family at home, with everything that you are, then that is the divine masculine. He is someone that is bringing wisdom, logic, and knowledge to the group, to the collective. He is also someone that grounds people. He grounds people because of his confidence, of his 100% authentic nature. People feel safe with him because he is truth. He's not all wishy washy. He's not from one thing to another. The feminine is very wishy washy. The feminine is in flow. The feminine changes, has many ideas, does this and that. The masculine becomes a pillar. Eventually, the masculine knows. Eventually, the masculine knows his purpose and knows what he needs to do here as the divine masculine. And so he becomes a straight and strong and stable pillar for anything and everything that comes his way. A storm could come and it's not going to shake him, it's not going to move him. A fire could come and he will still be there standing. Whatever it is, it's not going to sway him. So the masculine, the divine masculine, grounds. So this is very helpful to the feminine counterpart because sometimes the feminine is very wishy-washy and wants to play and wants to do this and that and the other. And the masculine sometimes has to ground that. And so that's why a true divine feminine has a divine masculine. You will never find a divine feminine with a feminine man. It just doesn't happen. Okay. Because two feminine energies will never be polarized in the way that creates passion, creativity, creation, love, spark, life. Two feminine energies are wishy-washy and playing around. Yeah, it's kind of fun, but it doesn't create the energy and the spark that comes from the two, masculine and feminine. It's really beautiful. So the divine feminine, why I say she requires this, isn't because, oh, this is her list. She requires this and this is the only thing for her. No, energetically, this is the only thing that will enter. That's the only thing that will enter. And forget having children with a divine feminine. If you are a feminine man or a man that, like I say, can't talk to women or all these things, you're not going to get your DNA passed on. You have to be embodied as a masculine. That doesn't mean you have to have a bunch of money in the bank. There's plenty of guys that have children. Have you noticed this? And there's plenty of men without money that have plenty of women. Why? Because they've chosen to exert themselves in a different way. They're still penetrating the world, they're still penetrating the woman, and all of these things, but in different ways. The divine feminine and the divine masculine are completely conscious of what's happening. The divine masculine that is maybe observing this masculine that somehow has all these women but has no money, has no spirituality, has no heart. How is it that he has all of this? Well, it's probably because he's sleeping around. And so, just like in nature, the divine, not the divine feminine, but the feminine can get confused and think that because a man has many women around him or has slept with many women, that there's something special about him. And she can get confused. Now, this is a consciousness that can get confused with that, but the divine feminine will never get confused with something like this. But the feminine can get confused and go with that. And so you can see this within things like the lions and stuff like that. Like lions, the male lion sleeps around a lot. And so this makes him more powerful and makes him more valuable to the females in his pride. So this is just how it works. And the same thing works in human psychology, as a matter of fact. So that's just how that is. But to be the true divine masculine, um, anything you do, your sexuality is also something very important. You do it in a way that is honoring to the feminine. You would never hurt the feminine. The whole thing about the divine masculine or the masculine energy is that it protects, loves, and values and cherishes the feminine because it sees its value as creation itself. So this is something that the masculine that's completely confused, that's sleeping around and not marrying their women or not doing right by them or not providing, that male has not embodied the divine masculine. Okay, but he is somewhat playing around in masculine energy. So let's see, the next step that I wrote is being in tune with sexuality. So I guess this is a good transition. We're kind of talking about this. So the divine masculine is not afraid of sex. The divine masculine is ready for it, understands his role, is excited about it. He's comfortable with it. He sees how this is play. He sees how this nourishes the feminine as well. He's not trying to take something from her. He's trying to give her something. Where the masculine that's very confused, the wounded masculine, will try to sleep with women and not stay with them, not date them, not marry them, not provide for them, not check up on them. The divine masculine gives to the feminine in his sexuality and in every way possible. So when he engages in this way, he realizes that this is not just sleeping around. There's two energies coming together that are very divine. And now this means a whole nother responsibility for the divine masculine. And the divine masculine, whether he knows it consciously or not, he's aware of this and he's going to act right by the feminine. Whereas the wounded masculine really only leaves the feminine, doesn't understand why he should be there for her and nourish her and continue on with her. He sees something as just taking, 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 taking. But the problem is when you take like that, you're really only hurting yourself. So let me see what else I wrote about it. Basically, he's not going to be afraid of sexuality, and he will be engaging with women. If he has a wife, he will be engaging with her regularly. This is completely normal and natural. But unfortunately, from talking to men, the majority of almost all men I talk to are not healthy sexually. So that would be a big, huge clue to you as a male. Are you able to be healthy sexually? If you have a partner, if you're married, if you have a girlfriend, do you have a healthy sex life with your partner? If you're not, do you have a healthy sexual relationship with yourself? So you would want to check into that. Do you hold any shame around that? Are you embarrassed? Do you hide something? Are you not okay being your true self in that aspect? So you want to explore that. If you find any shame in this area, this is really tied to the masculine. So if you find any shame in this area, this would be an area to work through. Okay. And release, release, release. So, like I talked about, the whole kind of tying in the masculine with the sexuality, the masculine really is wanting to kind of penetrate the female and give his seed, right? To kind of pass on his DNA. He also wants to penetrate the world to pass on his vision. So, you want to keep that in mind. This is all about the divine masculine. So the divine masculine creates in the world. He creates things like inventions. He creates things like structures. He creates things like organizations, groups, religions, anything that you see that has been created. These structures have mostly been created by men or the masculine energy. The masculine energy, like I say, is wanting to create, but it's not creating in the same way as a feminine. The feminine receives and creates, and the masculine creates. And when he creates, it impacts the world and it impacts the feminine because the feminine sees that. The feminine sees that he has created that he is the leader, that he has done that. And so the divine masculine and the divine feminine can partner in their power. The divine feminine will perk up. Her little antennas will perk up and she will notice that. Whether it is just energetically or within her mind, she will notice the men that are actually creating here. Okay. So ask yourself, as a masculine, are you creating here? And what are you creating? So we've asked this question before. Sometimes people think they're creating, but a lot of their life force is being drained. So, how is it being drained? The wounded masculine is in a very bad spot right now. For example, a lot of masculine men are sitting there playing video games for hours and hours a day without creating anything, without doing anything other than playing on there. While it's fun to play, if you've ever noticed with play, you play for a while and like insights and things come in, all of a sudden you want to work. There's like this oscillating thing that happens. If that's not happening, if you're so lost into play and you don't see the purpose of anything else, then your masculine energy is way off because the masculine, it innately wants to create, it wants to do this. So when the masculine gets wounded by the feminine telling them that they're no good, they can't do it, they're a loser, or maybe they grew up in a family where either the mother or father shamed them. You can't do this. You're not a real man. You can't. You don't know how. You can't talk to women. You don't know what you're doing. All of these things can wound a masculine, and it can only take one time. And all of a sudden, the masculine is wounded, and he retreats to things that are very childlike, very boy like. So we don't see the man emerge, we see the boy. So what we see is the boy plays video games. The boy doesn't have a job. The boy doesn't protect when it's needed. The boy doesn't step in when a hero is needed. The boy doesn't speak up. The boy isn't authentically 100% himself. The boy is swayed by the world. The boy doesn't know how to talk to girls. The boy is scared. The boy is shy. So are you identifying more with the boy or the man? So you have to kind of see where you're at. Now, this isn't to shame you. This is to bring you back into your power because you truly aren't that boy. You were that boy. We've all been a child. We have those aspects and we can certainly play with video games or whatever we enjoy doing. But we are not just that. We're not just a boy. We're not just a little girl. We're not this limited self. We're not. You are the divine masculine. Do you know what power that is? My God, you have it all. And it's not just the divine masculine that you are. That's even limiting. You're way more than that. You are everything. But in this role you're playing, do you see the power in the role that you are playing right now? Just look, it's right here. You have it all. Okay, so let's see what else we can talk about here. So you kind of have to discover your identity. Who are you? There's many men in this world and they're not all alike. We're all unique. We're all unique individuals. So what man are you? Who are you? What have you come into this world with? What do you enjoy doing? What do you have in your mind? What are your thoughts, your visions? Um, Anything in there to share? What is it? Let it out. Begin exploring yourself. Take a personality test. What kind of personality are you? What kind of personalities are you best meshed with? All of this stuff is out there now. I had a lot of fun taking a personality test once, the Myers-Briggs, because, I thought that there was a lot of quirky, weird things about me. But when I took that test and I came back, I was an INFJ, I believe, which is very rare, 1%. And so when I came back with that and I read what it was about and the descriptions, everything I thought was crazy about me was completely written in there. And it was just a personality type. So I wasn't the only one in the world like this. So we are a certain kind of personality. Who are you? What's your identity? What are your quirks? What do you like, dislike, preferences, these sorts of things? Get to know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more confident you can be in yourself. When you don't know who you are, what you stand for, what you like, what you don't like, who you want to be with, who you don't want to be with, where you want to live, what you want to do. When you're so indecisive in life, how in the world can you be a divine masculine? A divine masculine is completely solid and secure in their beliefs, like I talked about earlier. The feminine is the one that's indecisive. The feminine is the one that one day believes this and the next day believes that, and all of this and that, and can switch and is intuitive. But the masculine really finds truth and sticks with it. Sometimes it's very bare bones. Sometimes it's not very beautiful or fancy. Sometimes it is just that straightforward kind of thing, whatever. Like we could talk about non-duality, the Neo Advaita, where they just kind of shut the faucet off and they're not going to tell you there's a self here. There is not. They're grounding you. The masculine grounds you in their security, in them showing up as pillars of strength, pillars of knowledge, standing there. The feminine can be grounded in trusting that that is truth. Now remember, we all have both aspects within us. Okay, so you're masculine. If I'm a masculine, I'm with a masculine male pillar, and my masculine doesn't align with the masculine for some reason, there could be something wrong there. But when my masculine side sees his masculine side and sees him and honors that because he's in his masculinity, I can trust that because I can know that that is me embodied in him. Like we're all one. Okay. And so you will energetically feel when your masculine is in his true divine masculine state. And you can, as a feminine, begin to trust that masculine, even if it is a masculine outside of yourself, a husband, a father. You can begin to trust them in that when you see that they are not wavered by anything. Okay. And when you see that they align to your masculine or feminine, whatever it happens to be. So all I can really say is I'm not really going to go down the list any further. I've talked about in the masculine video, Masculine Explained, the different qualities of a masculine male. So now I'm just going to tie everything up for you in a nice red bow and let you know what I think the divine feminine truly wants from the divine masculine. So the divine feminine is looking for a man that she can trust, that she can feel safe with, that she can feel grounded with, that she can feel well enough to commit to being with this male, this divine male, and trusting this divine male every day of her life. The divine feminine is looking for someone that embodies the same characteristics, same traits, and same consciousness. I'm not just talking, we all embody the same consciousness, but I'm talking about the same awareness, current awareness and clarity that she does. So just like I talked about before, she's not going to join up with someone that is not seeing clearly. So she wants to join up with someone that sees the world clearly for what it is. Someone that's embodied in love, someone that is embodied in their emotions, can handle the fluctuating emotions of the feminine, someone that knows how to ground the feminine when the feminine is in her emotions that happens every month and throughout the month. She wants a masculine that has the gentleness and the truth within him to be able to nurture and care for children without leaving them, without hurting them, without abandoning them. She wants a straight and stick up man that will be by her side till the end and by those children's side till the end. She wants a masculine male that can provide for himself completely, that he can even provide for others, her and her children. She wants a masculine male that cannot even just do that, has the potential to possibly provide for all of his community and all of her extended family. When the community needs something, he's able to volunteer, whether that's in his time or whether that's in his finances, and provide for the extended family, whether that's in his time or in his finances. A man who sees that he not only is here to protect the divine feminine counterpart he is married to, but is here to protect the world. That is the divine masculine. It's a tall order, but I know plenty of men like this. So I encourage you to step into your power. It's right there within you. If you have been wounded by the feminine or anyone, even other masculines, drop it now, release it. You aren't that. You, my friend, are the master. Step into that power. It is how you say. When you step into that power of the divine masculine, your path will become straight. Keep on. Good luck. I love you all.